talked earlier about how America really doesn't quite know Kamala Harris as somebody ascending to the top of the ticket in the same way that they would a Joe Biden, who had a 35, 40-year career before becoming a vice president. How did Harris do objectively? How did Harris do in introducing herself to the American people?
Well, for somebody that had essentially just over 100 days to do it, I think that she did an excellent job. I mean, if you looked at her campaigns from the day that when she first started till what she's doing this past week, there's been a remarkable improvement. She's really gotten into her own in terms of being able to get off the teleprompter here and there. She still struggles a bit with the authenticity of her message from time to time, but she really did come a long way in a very short amount of time. And to compare her candidacy to a Biden's or a career politician's, it would be an unfair comparison. That said, I mean, she did have a good amount of time, being able to argue in court. I mean, she was a government official for a long period of time, as a prosecutor and such, out in California. But on this stage, though, I mean, I think that she did, again, an excellent job coming into her own. I just think that the headwinds of the economy, the problems with immigration, the other just major issues out there, that those headwinds were just too much for her to overcome. And even though Donald Trump was not necessarily the most popular of candidates, it was almost destined for failure from the start.
I want to get in the weeds a little bit because I know you're a communications expert, and we will talk about Trump. I want to give time to both sides. But the thing that always struck me in watching Kamala Harris uh, give her interviews is that she almost would revert back to a stump speech, or she would say phrases that were you could repeat verbatim because you'd heard them so much in so many different contexts. And when you're trying to do an interview where you're getting to know somebody or really get inside their head about what they're thinking for the country, when you're reverting back to your log lines, that is very, very noticeable. uh, Obviously she has a long track record of just not being comfortable in the media, which that's fine. That should not handicap somebody from being able to run for office. But if she were your client and you noticed this happening, what would you advise to somebody who sort of doesn't really answer questions but falls back to their prepared remarks?
Well, I guess a couple of things. The campaign for Harris, I mean, she was just excoriated for not actually having done a lot of interviews or made herself available. And let's look back to Joe Biden when he won the presidency last time in 2020. He was hiding in his basement doing Zoom calls here and there. I mean, there
Right.
really wasn't a whole lot of opportunity for him to be doing much either. And the advice that I think that both Biden and Harris took from their counselors was to say, you know what, you're going to have a better chance to if you just stay quiet and don't give a person a reason not to like you or not to support your message. And I think that hiding it says more about you than it would be if you were out there to go say something that you might be able to disagree with.
Right.
So again, we always try to make sure that our clients are out there communicating in a way that resonates with the audience. Now, that might be difficult for some, but what you can do is you can work with them, hone that message, figure out what resonates with the audience, and make it so it's authentic and make it so it's not forced coming from the candidate. And it takes time and it takes practice. And again, and I do think that by the end of this campaign, I think that Harris has made significant progress. I mean, she's no Donald Trump.
Oh, for sure.
Uh, there's no question about that. But she doesn't have to be Donald Trump. She has to be able to be authentic. I mean, and do I think her career is over? No, I think that she'll have other opportunities down the road, and she'll be someone that's sought after for interviews and things moving forward. And there'll be plenty more opportunities for her to go out there and do things. She might not run for president again. Who knows? But that said, I mean, I do think that there's more opportunity for her.
Sure. Now let's talk about Donald Trump. The thing about Trumpism is that it is so freewheeling and so he is so hard to pin down as a speaker because one day he's super articulate and is stating ideas and concrete plans, and the next he's falling back on those Trumpisms of it's going to be huge, it's going to be great, it's going to be wonderful, it was the best ever. Uh, how does a voter navigate that?
I am I'm surprised that he's gotten away with it for so long. And oftentimes, we say, when you're working with a candidate or even with a CEO or any type of person that's representing a brand or an idea, you know, the key here is for that authenticity would be, let Trump be Trump. In this case, however, though, letting Trump be Trump, he steps on his message. He distracts from it. I mean,
Yeah.
the debate that he had with Harris. I mean, what do any of us remember about that debate other than the eating cats and dogs in Springfield, Ohio? I mean, it was
What I
a
rem- I'm
action.
gonna I'm gonna interrupt you there because you
Yeah,
bring up a good point. What I also remember is that as soon as Harris insulted the size of his rallies, he was off his game. My objective opinion as an observer, he was winning that debate on the merit of his previous governance versus Harris until she baited him. And here again, we come to a communications issue. He
yeah.
took the bait and he was off kilter the rest of the night. I know we're going back and it's already played out and people are, the voting is even done across the
Right.
country. But here we go. We got a Monday morning quarterback. What happened there?
Well, again, she did her job. Her job
Yeah,
was to get him focused because the thing is, well, when Trump is talking about the economy, when he's talking about, immigration, or when he's talking about crime and those kitchen table issues that the voters care about, there's absolutely no way that Biden or Harris or anybody in the Democrat Party that it's going to toe their line can compete with what has happened over the past 4 years. I mean, objectively, it's been an absolute disaster on so many measurable fronts. And so when you've got the situation now of Donald Trump talking about those issues and his record of president from 4 years ago, when he had a good economy, when he had, the immigration wall being built and that sort of thing, there is a real change. But if he's talking about that, the Democrats would know that, well, hey, we need to get him to stop talking about that. And that's exactly what they did. They got him off base. But, frankly, I see that you don't really need Kamala Harris or a Democrat to knock Trump off of his game. His own ego does it to him
right.
sometimes. His own worst enemy.
And you
Uh,
would think that would
hey,
have been
much,
honed in over the 9 years he's been a politician to know when somebody's going for him or going for him or going after his policies. And the fact that he was off kilter the rest of the night was just astonishing to
yeah.
watch that she'd actually managed to do that on something that had nothing to do with policies. Whose message do you think is going to resonate most nationally?
I think that it's going to be very difficult for Trump in the next couple of weeks because, as much as he wants to think that he has a mandate from this election, it is close enough where there is going to be a lot of people that are going to be upset about the outcome. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to fight working with him, and whatever message that he puts out there, if it's not one of unity, if it's not one to reach across the aisle, if it's one where he's going to, have that enemies list and doing the things that the Harris campaign did actually a good job of scaring people about. I think that's going to be the wrong approach. I think that Trump could do wonders if he works to unify people, to help to rebuild the economy, to help to create jobs, to lessen crime, and to get a more global respect as well. I think that all of those things are possible and doable. But at the same time, if he takes that same gruff personality to it, and is a sore winner, I think that will be a difficult position for him to be in.
A sore winner. That's absolutely right. If he continues to attack, it's not going to be effective. He will not govern effectively, and you will lose. Uh, you'll lose the confidence of the people that voted for you. Real quick before we let you go, Dan, want to make a call. North Carolina comes in for Donald Trump. He is now 230 electoral votes. Harris at 187. Donald Trump is 40 electoral votes away, the state of Texas away from clinching the presidency. Dan, Rene, thank you so much for being with us.
Betcha, Matt. Thank you so much. Anytime. Thank you.